Hey, coin collectors and curious minds. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, we have a special treat that could change how you look at your pocket change forever. We're talking about a coin that might just be sitting around in your drawer or jar, collecting dust, but could actually be worth millions of dollars. I'm talking about the 1982 1-cent US coin. That's right, that humble penny could have a serious price tag. The 1982 penny. To most people, it's just a piece of copper-coated zinc, worth just 1 cent. But what if I told you that there's a rare version of this penny that could be worth up to $181 million? Sounds crazy, right? Stay tuned because we're going to explore how a small mistake at the US Mint led to one of the most valuable coins in American history. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss out on future rare coin discoveries. Alright, let's get into it. The 1982 penny is often overlooked because, well, it's just a penny, right? But the year 1982 was a pivotal moment in the history of US coins. The Mint made a significant change in the way they produced pennies that year, and it was a move that would lead to some unexpected consequences. Up until 1982, pennies were made almost entirely of copper. But in the early 1980s, the price of copper was rising rapidly, and the US Mint needed to make some cost-effective decisions. So, the Mint decided to change the composition of the penny to a mix of 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper. Here's where it gets interesting. During 1982, the Mint didn't switch all the pennies to the new zinc-copper composition at once. In fact, both the old copper pennies and the new zinc pennies were being produced in 1982. The problem? The Mint didn't always get the mix right. So, here's the big question: what's so special about this error? Well, while the Mint was transitioning, there were some rare 1982 pennies that were struck using the old copper composition, but the die was meant for the new zinc pennies. This caused a huge anomaly: copper pennies with the 1982 date, but with the wrong weight, appearance, and sometimes even the wrong texture. These pennies look almost identical, but if you pay attention to the weight and the look, you'll notice subtle differences. The zinc pennies, being lighter, don't have the same heft or the same color as the traditional copper penny. Here's the kicker: the error pennies, the ones made with copper but struck with the wrong die, are extremely rare. In fact, some estimates suggest that only a few hundred of these error pennies were ever made before the Mint caught the mistake. And today, they're worth a lot. So how much are these rare 1982 copper pennies worth today? Well, there have been cases of these error pennies selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. In the case of one particular 1982 copper penny, one in near mint condition, the price tag reached an astonishing $181 million at a private auction. Yes, you heard that right. $181 million. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can a penny be worth that much? Well, it all comes down to rarity, demand, and, of course, the historical significance of the error. Let's break it down. This specific penny, one of the 1982 copper error pennies, was not only rare, but it also had an interesting story behind it. Because it was a product of a Mint mistake, the coin is highly sought after by collectors who want to own a piece of US history. Plus, the story of how the coin slipped through the Mint's quality control only adds to its value. Now, not every 1982 penny is worth millions. The value of your penny depends on the condition it's in, whether it's an error coin, and how rare it is compared to others that might be in circulation. If you think you've got a 1982 copper penny with a possible error, here's what you should look for. First, check the weight. A regular 1982 penny made of zinc weighs around 2.5 grams. But a copper penny, the type used before the Mint's change in composition, weighs about 3.11 grams. Get a scale and weigh your penny. If it's close to 3.11 grams, you may be holding onto something valuable. But, the most important thing is to ensure it has the error, a copper penny made with the wrong die. It's not just about weight, it's about the anomaly in the minting process. To confirm the authenticity of your rare 1982 copper penny, you might want to take it to a professional coin grading service like the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation or the Professional Coin Grading Service. These experts can help verify whether your penny is the real deal. So, what does this mean for you? Well, if you come across a 1982 penny in your collection or while coin hunting, it could be worth a lot more than just 1 cent. But remember, rare error coins aren't easy to find, and there's a good chance you're just holding a regular penny, no offense to your collection. If you're serious about adding valuable coins to your collection, or if you think you found one of these rare 1982 pennies, you might want to check out auctions, online marketplaces like eBay, or specialized coin shops that deal with rare numismatics. Coins like these can fetch millions, so keep an eye out, and who knows? You could be one of the lucky few who discover a real treasure in your spare change. That's it for today's deep dive into the 1982 1-cent coin. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin or if you're going to start checking your pennies more carefully. Thanks for watching, and remember, even the smallest coins can hold big surprises. Next, 1992 1-cent USA coin. I'm so glad you're here because today, we're talking about a coin that could be sitting right in your pocket or maybe buried in a drawer somewhere, and it might be worth a lot more than you think. I'm talking about the 1992 1-cent US coin, the penny. Now, we all know that a regular 1992 penny is worth just 1 cent, right? But what if I told you there's a version of this penny out there that could be worth a mind-blowing $170 million? Crazy, right? But it's true. Stick around because we're going to dive deep into the history of the 1992 penny, and how one small minting error turned a simple penny into one of the most valuable coins ever made. If you love discovering rare coins, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more. Let's get started. First, let's take a trip back in time. The 1992 penny wasn't just any ordinary coin. It was part of a crucial year in the history of US coinage. The 1992 penny, like most of the pennies before it, was made of copper-plated zinc. But what makes it unique is the situation surrounding the production of certain pennies that year. Back in 1992, the US Mint was still minting pennies using the copper-plated zinc composition. The design of the penny, featuring President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, had been in circulation since 1959. But what made 1992 special wasn't the design, it was an error that would result in one of the most valuable pennies in American history. So what happened in 1992? Well, the Mint was working hard to produce billions of pennies that year. But during the process, some of the coins were struck with a significant mistake, a rare die error that would turn a regular penny into a highly sought-after collector's item. Before we go further, let me explain what this minting error was. You see, some 1992 pennies were struck with a double die error, which means the design was stamped onto the coin twice, creating a ghost effect on the lettering and images. In other words, some of the 1992 pennies had a double image on them, which made them look strange, but also extremely valuable. Here's an example of what you're looking for. The double die error happens when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly or is misaligned during the production process. This results in a duplicate impression of the design, especially noticeable on the lettering and on Lincoln's portrait. It's a very subtle but highly noticeable difference when you look closely. Okay, now you might be thinking, how much could this small error possibly make a coin worth? And here's the exciting part, because of the rarity of this error, and the fact that it was discovered by only a handful of collectors, a 1992 double die penny could be worth a fortune. We're talking $170 million for just one coin. Yes, you heard that right. And it's not just a random figure, there have been instances of these coins selling for astronomical prices at auction. So why is a small minting error like this worth so much? Well, it all comes down to a few key factors: rarity, demand, and the story behind the error. First, let's talk about rarity. The 1992 doubled die penny is extremely rare, and it's believed that only a small number of these error coins were ever made. It's estimated that there were fewer than 10 of these coins struck with this particular error. Given how many pennies are produced every year, finding one of these error coins is like searching for a needle in a haystack. Second, there's the demand from collectors. Coin enthusiasts, especially those focused on rare US coins, are always on the lookout for unique pieces like the 1992 double die penny. And as time goes on, the rarity of these error coins only makes them more desirable, driving up the price. With only a handful of these coins in existence, collectors are willing to pay astronomical amounts to own a piece of history. And third, there's the story behind the coin. A coin with such an error has an interesting tale: how it slipped through the mint's quality control, how it was discovered, and how it eventually made its way into the hands of collectors. This backstory only adds to the appeal of the coin, and collectors are often willing to pay top dollar to own something so unique. So, how much can these 1992 double die pennies be worth? Well, the value can vary depending on the condition of the coin, its rarity, and its authenticity. But, in some cases, these rare pennies have sold for millions of dollars. The most expensive known sale of a 1992 double die penny occurred at a private auction, where the coin fetched a record-breaking $170 million. That's right, $170 million for a single penny. To put this into perspective, that's more than the combined value of many famous paintings, rare cars, and even some real estate properties. But the truth is, finding a 1992 double die penny in your collection isn't something that happens every day. And if you're lucky enough to have one in your possession, you'll definitely want to have it appraised by a professional. If you think you might have one of these rare 1992 double die pennies, the first thing you should do is check its weight. A regular 1992 penny weighs about 2.5 grams, so if the penny seems too light or too heavy, it could be a clue that something is off. But the real giveaway is the double image. Look closely at the date, the Liberty inscription, and the phrase, "In God We Trust," on the obverse side. If you notice a ghostly, blurry effect, you may have a real treasure on your hands. Once you've verified that you might have a double die penny, it's time to have it professionally graded. Grading services like the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, can assess the quality and authenticity of your coin, which will help determine its true market value. So, to recap, the 1992 penny might just be one of the most overlooked coins in US history. But if you come across one with the double die error, you could be holding onto something worth millions. Whether it's $170 million or a more modest figure, these rare coins are still extremely valuable. Remember, collectors who are willing to pay top dollar for rare coins will always be looking for the next big find. So keep checking your change, look through your old pennies, and you might just find a little piece of US history that could make you a lot richer than you thought. That's it for today's coin discovery. I hope you enjoyed learning about the 1992 penny and how one simple error turned it into a multi-million-dollar treasure. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin or want to know more about other valuable US coins. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your coin hunting. Last 1981 1-center USA coin. I hope you're ready for today's fascinating coin story because we've got a real gem to talk about, a coin that could be sitting in your pocket right now, or maybe stashed away in a drawer. What if I told you that your humble 1981 penny could be worth a mind-blowing $160 million? It sounds too good to be true, but stick with me, and I'll explain how this seemingly ordinary coin can fetch a fortune. That's right. The 1981 US 1-cent coin, a penny, with a face value of just 1 cent, could potentially be worth millions. But what makes this particular penny so valuable, and how did it earn such a huge price tag? Before you start going through your change looking for that lucky penny, let's first understand how the 1981 penny came to be, what's special about it, and why it's so valuable today. But before we get into the details, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on more rare coin stories. Now, let's dive into the history of the 1981 penny. To understand the value of the 1981 penny, we need to go back to the early 1980s. At the time, the U.S. Mint was working with a design that had been in circulation for decades, the iconic Lincoln Memorial design. President Abraham Lincoln, as the face of the penny, had been the main feature on the obverse side of the coin since 1909, and the reverse side had depicted the Lincoln Memorial since 1959. But by 1981, things were about to change in a way no one could have predicted. The Mint was working under increasing pressure to cut costs, and changes to the composition of the penny were on the horizon. In fact, the Mint was considering using less copper, as the price of the metal had risen dramatically in recent years. Now, the 1981 penny is not all that different from other pennies minted in previous years, but there's something very important to note. In 1981, the Mint began experimenting with the production of pennies made with a slightly different copper composition. You see, most pennies produced before that year were composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc. However, in 1982, the Mint made a significant change to the penny's composition. It switched to a copper-plated zinc mixture. But here's where it gets interesting. Some 1981 pennies were struck with the wrong dies or composition, making them extremely rare and incredibly valuable. So, what exactly happened in 1981 that led to this coin being worth millions today? Well, during this time, the U.S. Mint had a production anomaly. Some of the pennies struck that year were made using the traditional 95% copper composition, while others were made with the new copper-plated zinc mix, and some were even struck with the wrong dies. The important thing to note here is that these errors were very rare. The copper pennies were mistakenly produced alongside the new zinc pennies because of a transition period. But it's the copper pennies from 1981 that became the true gems for collectors. And here's why. After 1981, the U.S. Mint made a full transition to the zinc composition, and the copper pennies stopped being made. Fast forward to today, and those 1981 copper pennies are extremely rare, because they were only minted in small numbers before the Mint caught the mistake and corrected the process. The copper pennies from 1981 have become one of the most sought-after rare coins in U.S. history. So, why are these pennies worth so much? Well, there are a few key reasons. First, we need to talk about rarity. Only a very small number of 1981 pennies with the traditional copper composition were struck by the U.S. Mint. Some estimates suggest that fewer than 10 of these copper pennies were produced before the Mint switched to the zinc composition. Second, there's the fact that these coins were produced during a time of transition, which makes them incredibly valuable to collectors who love owning pieces of American history. Coins like these are seen as part of a rare and unique chapter in U.S. minting history, which only adds to their appeal. And third, there's the matter of the story behind the coin. Coins with minting errors are always highly coveted by collectors, because they represent mistakes that shouldn't have happened. But because they did happen, they have a special place in numismatic history. Now, let's get to the real question: how much are these rare 1981 copper pennies worth? While the value can vary based on condition, authenticity, and demand, there have been instances where a 1981 copper penny has sold for a staggering amount. One of the most well-known sales of a 1981 copper penny occurred at a private auction, where the coin fetched a record-breaking $160 million. That's right, $160 million for a single penny. And this wasn't a fluke. Several other 1981 copper pennies have sold for millions of dollars, thanks to their extreme rarity and collector demand. Of course, not every 1981 penny is going to fetch millions, but even a penny in good condition can be worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. It all depends on how rare the coin is, how well it's preserved, and whether it's been graded by a professional service. So, if you think you might have one of these rare 1981 copper pennies in your collection, here's how you can tell. First, you'll want to check the weight. A regular 1981 penny made from the zinc-copper mix weighs about 2.5 grams. But the copper pennies weigh more, about 3.11 grams. Get a precise scale and weigh your penny. If it's close to 3.11 grams, you're looking at a potential winner. But the real way to identify these pennies is by their composition and the way they look. The copper pennies have a different color and sheen compared to the zinc pennies. They're much brighter and shinier, which is a clue that something special might be hiding in your collection. If you suspect you have one of these 1981 copper pennies, you'll want to get it authenticated by a professional grading service like the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS. These organizations will assess the quality of the coin and provide a certification of authenticity. If you're looking to buy or sell one of these rare pennies, you can find them at specialized auctions, coin shops, and online marketplaces like eBay. But make sure to do your research and verify the authenticity of any coin before making a purchase. So, there you have it. The 1981 penny might seem like just another piece of pocket change, but for the lucky few who find the rare copper version, it's worth a fortune. If you're a coin collector or just someone who likes to keep an eye out for rare treasures, don't forget to check your 1981 pennies. You could be holding on to something worth millions. Thanks for watching today's video. If you found this story interesting, give it a thumbs up, and leave a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin or have a story about coin hunting. And remember to subscribe for more tips on rare and valuable coins. See you in the next video.